All right, let's just jump right in. When I say the word magic, what do you picture? I'm guessing it's something epic, right? Wizards, dragons, huge battles from books and movies. It's this whole world of grand, world-changing power. But what if I told you that real historical magic was, well, a lot more petty?
So on one hand, yeah, you've got the fantasy version we all love. Fireballs, cosmic struggles, the whole shebang. But the historical reality, the stuff archaeologists are actually digging up, it's something else entirely. We're talking about thin little sheets of lead. We're talking about arguments over lawsuits and, just that simmering resentment you have for your next-door neighbor. So forget saving the world. This was about winning an argument.
And this quote just sums it up perfectly. You gotta think of it less like a wizard's duel and more like, I don't know, filing the supernatural complaint against someone who really ticked you off. This was magic for the common person, dealing with really common, everyday frustrations.
So what was the actual tool for this spiritual lawsuit? It wasn't some glowing staff or a crystal ball. Nope, most of the time it was a simple, pretty unassuming piece of lead. Let's really get into the nitty-gritty of the curse tablet.
Okay, so the fancy term is a defixio, which comes from a Latin word that means to bind or to nail down. And that is literally what they did. You'd write your curse on this cold, heavy sheet of lead, a metal they associated with the underworld. You'd fold it up, and then you'd physically pierce it with a nail. You're symbolically fixing your enemy in place. Then, you drop it in a well or maybe even a grave, a direct line to those underworld gods who could carry out your revenge.
The whole process was a ritual in itself. So first, you get your lead sheet, and you scratch your curse right into it. And you have to be specific. You name your target, and you name exactly what you want to happen to them. Then comes the really crucial physical part, folding it, driving a nail right through it. And finally, the delivery. You take this little package of hate and drop it somewhere you believed had a direct connection to the gods of justice and revenge.
So, who were people actually cursing and why? Well, as it turns out, a huge number of these tablets deal with two things we can all definitely understand: business and legal battles.
Just imagine this for a second. You're a potter in ancient Rome, and across the market, another potter is selling way more vases than you are. You can't compete on price, so what do? You go and get a curse tablet made. It's basically the ancient world's version of leaving a one-star review, just with a lot more divine wrath involved.
And the sheer pettiness of the request is what's so amazing to me. The curse isn't, may he die a horrible death. It's, may his business stumble and his hands go numb. It's so specific. You want your rival potter to become clumsy, to drop his clay, to completely fail at his job. It's a targeted, professional attack.
The courtroom was another real hotbed for curses. You might curse the opposing lawyer so that they completely forget their arguments and just stammer in front of the judge, or maybe you'd curse the witnesses so they get all confused on the stand. It was a way of trying to manipulate the justice system when you felt like the odds were totally stacked against you. Now, moving on from business, there's another major category of curses. They're often called erotic curses. But as we're about to see, the ancient idea of a love spell was a lot darker than what you're probably picturing.
I mean, that's a natural assumption to make, isn't it? Magic used to bring two people together, like some kind of ancient love potion. Sounds kind of romantic, but was that really what was going on here?
The reality is so much more chilling. These curses weren't about creating mutual affection or love. No way. They were instruments of control, designed to completely break a person's will and force them into submission. So the key thing to remember is, this was not about love. It was about power.
Just look at what these curses were trying to do. They aimed to inflict genuine suffering, insomnia, so you can't sleep, loss of appetite, so you can't eat, and relentless, obsessive thoughts about the person who cursed you. The whole point was to torment the target until they had absolutely no choice but to seek out the cursor for relief. It's a form of psychological warfare, really, designed to dominate and control their mind and their body. So far, pretty much all these curses have been secret, right? Hidden things, dropped in wells. But there is a fascinating exception. In some places, cursing wasn't done in the shadows at all. It was done right out in the open. So, specifically in the Roman province of Britain, at temple sites like the famous one in Bath, archaeologists have found hundreds of these curse tablets. But here's the thing, they weren't hidden away. They were deposited in a sacred spring as public petitions to a goddess, which made them a socially acceptable, almost official, way of seeking justice.
And this is a classic example. Somebody has their cloak stolen at the public baths, which was apparently a common problem. So they write a curse tablet not just to punish the thief,
but to announce the theft to the entire community and to the gods. It's a prayer, a public notice, and a call for divine intervention all rolled into one. It's basically a plea for justice when there's no police force you can call.
Okay, so we've seen curses for business, for lawsuits, for domination, and even for public justice. What does all of this add up to? What does the popularity of this really petty magic actually tell us about the ancient world?
It's the central question, isn't it? Why would so many people turn to a nail and a piece of lead to solve their problems? Why did they believe so strongly that this would work?
And here it is. This is the key insight. This wasn't some strange, irrational belief system that doesn't make any sense. For a lot of people, magic was the most logical and practical tool they had. It was their court of last resort.
I mean, think about it. If you were poor, or a woman, or enslaved, the official legal system might be completely inaccessible to you or totally biased against you. You couldn't afford a lawyer. Your testimony might not even be heard. A curse tablet, though, that was cheap. It was anonymous, and it offered a sense of agency, a hope for justice. It leveled the playing field when society offered you no other way to fight back.
So that kind of leaves us with a final thought. These curse tablets feel so ancient and strange, but the feelings behind them, frustration, a desire for justice, even just petty annoyance, those are timeless. It really makes you wonder, if you had a piece of lead and a nail right now, what modern-day frustration would you be tempted to write down?